to Ephesians 6. I'm going to start at verse 12, read down through verse 18. Probably be a good place to leave your ribbon. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore take up the full armor of God, so you'll be able to resist the devil in the evil day, and having done everything to stand, stand firm. Stand firm, therefore, having girded your loins with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. In addition to all, take up the shield of faith, with which you will be able to extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. With all prayer and petition, pray at all times in the Spirit, and with this in view, be on alert with all perseverance and petition for all the saints. What I want to tell you, and I think you probably already know it, we are in a spiritual warfare. This battle has been going on for some time. You're a part of it, whether you like it or not. That's just the way it works. And our faith is the key. Over in James 4:7, he would tell us to draw near to God and resist the devil, and he would flee from us. And this is our simple key to victory. Victory is right in our hands. It is sitting in our lap, and it is deceitfully simple. And this is where some people mess up. We'll unfold that as we go on. So the battle is real, as we just read there in Ephesians 6:12. It is extremely real. And I think sometimes we, in our more academic approach to things, will back off of the reality of the spiritual battle because we don't want to feel like we're going into something that's a little woo-woo, a little something that seems like it's out there. But the fact of the matter is, there is a spiritual realm. That's what we believe in. Where do we believe our loved ones went when they died? We always believe they went into that other realm, into heaven. Of course. That whole realm is there. And in things we don't always understand, there's a dark side, as we had in Ephesians 6:12, and we're fighting that. Now, that battle occurs in the daily routine of life. It is rarely a big, fantastic, dramatic, really, something with a lot of fireworks and clashes. Normally, it's just simple routine. Now we need to learn to see that. Galatians 5:17 says the flesh lusts against the spirit. Primarily, that battle happens within you. Now there are external things that will trigger the flesh, but it's primarily in you. Now I said primarily, but that's really where I want you to focus. So we have a list of our weapons. We just read those. They're very simple weapons. They're not that complicated. Somebody say, thank you, hallelujah, for that one. Aren't you glad it wasn't like, well, in order to win this battle, you've got to learn how to do all those equations on quantum physics? You've seen those pictures of chalkboard after chalkboard and Einstein sitting back like he knows what he's looking at? Maybe he did, but I don't have a clue. I'm glad we don't have to learn that kind of stuff. The weapons are quite simple there and readily available. So we're just going to learn to have a daily faith that refuses to yield to the devil. And in the simplicity of that statement is your path to victory. Your way to be able to pillow your head at night and go, I won today. Because every day is a battle. And I want you to be able to pillow your head at night, every night, and go, yeah, I got that one. Got that one. Now, I know the reality is we're not going to get them all. I don't think anybody bats 1,000. But it sure would be nice to pillow our head at night and a lot of times to go, want another one. I want another one. And start lining those up. So let's start off with Satan is real, but he's not equal to God. He is very real. So 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober or be vigilant because your adversary, the devil, roams about looking for someone to devour. And that someone he's looking to devour is you. The better you get at walking the Christian walk and staying in the straight and narrow road, the more you become his target. But the more you stay in the straight and narrow road, the harder it is for him to target you. That's kind of neat. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So he needs an opportunity. Let's flip back to Ephesians 4:27, where he tells us, let's go back to verse 26. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, comma in my translation. And do not give the devil an opportunity. The opportunity we give Satan can be as simple as inappropriate anger, or letting that anger make us behave inappropriately. Over in James 1:14, he said, but each one's tempted when he is carried away and enticed by his own lust. And so one of the things we need to learn to do is not to give Satan that opportunity. And we can do that in a multitude of ways, give him that opportunity. And what we want to do is we're going to line up with God, line up with Christ, walk the straight and narrow. And if we don't let our anger get out of place, then we learn to purge out those things in us that don't need to be in us, discipline our own body, bring our own thoughts into captivity, then the chances of being enticed by our own lust diminish greatly. And this is nothing that is highly advanced technique. This is just learning to be honest with yourself. So let me give you a simple illustration. Let's suppose we have somebody who's in AA. AA has kept a lot of people out of the bottle. Well, if you're in AA, one of the places you don't need to go is the local liquor store, right? If you're in AA, one of the places you don't need to go is down to the local bar. You probably don't even need to go peruse the liquor aisle at Walmart. It's just as simple sometimes as not going there. Now, I know there are other things involved in overcoming alcoholism, but we don't walk into the devil's den. We don't walk into his lair and stand there in the middle of it and then wonder what happened, what went wrong. All of us have probably known growing up there's certain parts of town you don't need to get caught in, period. And some of them you certainly don't need to be there after dark. And then people get over there wandering around after dark. They get in trouble. They end up in the jail and they go, oh, what went wrong? How hard is this to figure out? There's some places you and I don't need to go. We don't need to be there. We don't need to look at it. We don't need to think about it. And if I have the strength to discipline my eyes and my mind and go, no, you can't have that thought. Let's get back over here where it belongs. That was it. Well, telling the flesh no is hard, isn't it? When the flesh lusts against the spirit, it is tough. And you have a battle going on at the emotional level, not so much the intellectual level. And that's a whole lot tougher. Zig Ziglar used to say it this way. He used to say, everybody's got that New Year's resolution, right? I'm going to lose weight this year. And they're really confident about it. They've logicked it out. They understand all the reasons they need to lose weight. And they're at the restaurant. They just finished their salad. And back in the day, they used to roll the dessert cart around the dining area, tempting you. And for long, willpower loses and emotion wins, because that cheesecake with the strawberry dabbled on top of it, or whatever your favorite one is, you go, I know I'm not supposed to do that. I know I don't need that. But just one time it won't hurt, right? And you know how that game plays out. Then you get home feeling guilty when you go, well, I blew my diet. Why even try? And give up entirely. Satan schemes on us. John 8:44 tells us that the devil is a liar. He is the father of lies, and he is going to lie to your face. And one of our faults is we just can't imagine that somebody would really lie to me. Why would they lie to me, we think? People will lie to you. They will look you straight in the eye. They will flash those pretty eyes, smile, and lie. And I don't mean to be cold or indifferent, but you have to learn how to recognize these things, because the devil is out to get you. And a lie will work quite well. Now, back in Ephesians 6 and verse 11, he said, put on the full armor of God so you'll be able to stand firm against the schemes of the devil. Now, some of you might have a translation that says against the wiles of the devil. He's planning. He is scheming. This is a chess game. And he's playing moves and moves ahead. And you don't want to fall into his trap. So it's usually subtle. I would say most of it is subtle. Are there dramatic times? Yes, there are dramatic times. But most of them are going to be very subtle times. And there are going to be times you're really not thinking this is spiritual warfare. You're driving down the road. You're heading down the interstate, going to wherever you're going after service is over, and you're a good guy. You're doing the speed limit. Well, maybe a couple over. We know how that game plays out. And here comes somebody blowing around you doing 95. Now what's your thought? Now what do you say? Somebody takes their turn at the four-way stop, and it was really your turn, and they cut you off. Now what are you saying? Somebody bumped in front of you at line at Walmart. We've seen that almost turn into fights around here a time or two. That's and it's just subtle. So let's go back to the grocery store line for a minute. I'm in the grocery store line. Somebody bumps in front of me. How many minutes is that actually going to take out of my life? 2? Let's make it 3. Let's let it be one of those people who doesn't know how to use their plastic and the little slippery thing, and they have to fight with it. And it takes a whole nother minute. I'm up to 4 whole minutes. But this is my life. I'm important here. No, we're not. And what were you going to do with that 4 minutes? I get such a tickle out of people. I won't call names, but they said at stoplight and go, come on, light, come on, light, come on, light, come on, light. And I know where they're going. They're going home to sit and do nothing. I'm like, what are you in a hurry for? At least you're out getting some fresh air. You ought to enjoy it. But these are the places of spiritual warfare. And they don't look like spiritual warfare. Because Satan has lied to us and he makes spiritual warfare look like some big Hollywood big event. And it's all the little things. My wife says, would you bring me a glass of tea while you're in the kitchen? Get off your lazy self and get in there and get it. Oh, that was spiritual warfare. Satan just won a whole lot on that one, didn't he? Men go, I ain't doing that one. Warfare. It's subtle. Learn to recognize the battle. Learn to recognize where it's at. And it's any place I'm not acting like Christ. We are to be conforming ourselves to the image of Christ. Romans 8:29. And if we're not conforming to the image of Christ, that's Satan battling us. That's him trying to pull us off. And we've got to be very aware of that. So it's dangerous, very dangerous, but it's not unstoppable. He's not equal to God. And if I read James 4:7-8, where it says, draw near to God, he'll draw near to you. Resist the devil and he'll flee from you. He's not equal to you either. If you are in Christ, and I'm thinking of Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If Christ is your strength, Satan can't do anything with you. The only way he can do something with you is if you give him the opportunity. And that's where the flesh struggles against the spirit. So we begin by submitting to God. Submit to God and the devil will flee from you. Now, how simple is that? And most of what we're talking about submitting to God, this is not figuring out the book of Revelation. This isn't explaining the Godhead and deity and the Trinity in ways that nobody else can fuss with. This isn't answering every little what, if, yeah, but that can come up in a Bible conversation. This is just submitting to God. There's not a whole lot to that. And the people that learn to do that, Satan looks at and goes, no, I'm not messing with that one right now. He'll wait for his time and his chance. But as long as you're solid in God, he's looking from a distance. So submission. We align with God. Amos 3:3, can two walk together unless they're agreed? The answer, of course, is no. And so you're walking with God. You're in harmony with God. You're right there with God. Satan's like, yeah, let me wait till he wanders away from God a little bit. And Satan will be very patient because he knows we're human. And what are we going to do? We're going to have our weak moment. And we're going to wander away a little bit. And then he's going to take his opportunity. But he can't defeat you as long as you're right there with God. As long as your heart is fully yielding to God and doing what God said to do, walking with God, Satan can holler, he can scream, he can beckon, he can, dangle the fancy little flesh things in front of your eye, all the glitter and gold. But if your heart is centered on God, you don't want any of that. Now, one of the neat things about it is you get older and older, as many of us are, you realize all that glitters certainly isn't gold. I don't need all that mess anyway in my life. So our obedience, just simple obedience to God, is a very, very powerful weapon. But it doesn't sound really profound, does it? It doesn't sound like, oh, preacher, you just gave me magic here. You just gave me the most profound, exciting secret in the world. I said, obey God. How many times have you heard that one? Probably every Sunday for the last bazillion years, right? But that is your weapon. That is your power. And even if it looks small on the surface, Satan can't beat that one. He can't do a thing with it. So your submission is going to dismantle your pride, and it's going to bring you into alignment with God. And Satan's going to be looking at you going, man, I got to figure out another angle on this guy. I don't know how to get in there. Now, he's still going to dangle some bait out there, but you're going to look at it and go like, I got Jesus. Why do I want that? And if your heart's really right there where I just said, you're like, I got God. Why do I want anything Satan has to offer? You're in. Because he can't offer you anything better than God if that's where your heart is set. And so your pride won't get all stirred up, and you'll just automatically be walking in victory. Now, one of these days you'll sit down and meditate about it, and you go, hey, that's right. Preacher was right. That is working. So it's ordinary faith. It's not mystical rituals of any kind. It's just ordinary daily faith that Christians have been practicing for the last 2,000 years. That's all it is. Can I call it, without being insulting, ordinary, mundane, repetitive, non-exciting faith? That's a little misleading, because when you step through the pearly gate onto the golden street, that's not going to be mundane, not exciting faith. That's going to be the most exciting thing you and I can imagine. So we have the armor. We read the list a while ago. You can glance back at it if you want. And it's not for us to look impressive. Now, in my little eye candy up here in the corner, and I know you can't really see it. It's not there for a whole lot, just to occupy space. But it's a knight in shining armor holding a sword and a shield, and he looks kind of cool, you know. That's kind of what we think when we think of equipment and fighting the battle. But that's not it. You're going to have the sweetest, little, daintiest, frailest grandma at 102 years old. And she can yield that sword and the battle and the weapons that he gave us just as well as anybody else. It has nothing to do with physical appearance and physical ability. It's all spiritual. And so it's our strategy. And that's what it is. Let's glance at it just briefly. We're going to gird our loins with truth. That's just study to show you self-approved. That's just doing your daily Bible reading. A breastplate of righteousness. You're going to do that which is right. You're not going to sin. You're not going to do evil things. Your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Again, you're going to walk in the Word. That's quite simple. And then you're going to take up the shield of faith. Well, Hebrews 11:6, without faith it's impossible to please Him. Helmet of salvation. Most take that to be knowledge of the Word, and then the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, and then prayer. There's nothing dramatic, Hollywood exciting there. It's more of a strategy. It's more of a daily choice. When you practice daily, you get it. So we tell the kids in training and other things, don't do it till you get it right. Do it till you can't get it wrong. And that's what you want to do with these things. You want to understand them and incorporate them into their life. Not till you get them right one time. That's great. Get them right one time. Celebrate. But you want to get them right till you can't get them wrong. And Satan's left out in the cold big time. So our armor is about living under God's authority. He's my boss. He's my king. He is my authority. And Christ said He had all authority in heaven and earth in the Great Commission. And we're going to live under that authority. We're going to respect that authority. And we're going to wear it every single day, in every situation, no matter what we're doing. Whether we're driving down the road, we're sitting in the living room with our family or friends, whether we're out eating tacos at Taco Bell, wherever we're at, whatever we're doing, we're under the authority of God. And our armor is not with us. Our armor is on us because we have incorporated it in our lives so much that it's just part of us. It's just there. And then our prayer is going to keep us connected and focused on God. I'm thinking Colossians 3, verse 1 through 3, about setting your mind on heaven. So It's not about some special weapons that have been hidden from you and you don't really know them. And we can't tell you these weapons until we have evaluated your Christianity and be sure that you're at a high enough level to understand these weapons. These are on the bottom shelf. They're there for anybody who wants to pick them up and start learning how to use them. All you got to do is say, I'm that one. I want to pick them up. Our main arena is internal. We had James 1:14 a moment ago, where he said we were carried away by our own lust. And in James 4, where he's telling them why their prayers go amiss, wrong, he says, you lust and do not have, so you commit murder. You are envious and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel, and you do not have because you do not ask. And you ask and do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, so that you may spend it on your own pleasure. Adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is hostility to God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend with the world makes himself an enemy of God. And that's where Satan starts luring the flesh in. Well, I can sit on the fence. Had a man come across my Facebook, said, sitting on the fence is the wrong place to be when the Lord comes back. Think about that one a second. Isn't that true? You want to be fully in God's camp, fully on His side, fully about seeking first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And that way, when the lust of the flesh tries to stir, you'll be in a position to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. And John warned us over in 1 John 2, let's start at 15, not to love the world, nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. That's in us. And Satan's going to keep trying to stir that up in us. But he can't force us. And if you can get to the point of Galatians 2:20, where Paul said, it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me, or Galatians 5:24, where he said, we crucify the flesh. Since Satan is tempting the flesh, that's his angle. If you can really crucify that, then what can he do? He can't. So he needs some leverage. And he's looking for that leverage. And we are the ones that have to give him that leverage. So you see a little bit of it here in Ephesians 4:31. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Why? Because when we have bitterness in heart, or wrath, or malice, or slander, or whatever your text says, that's the opening Satan was looking for. That's when he whispers, you're right. They don't treat you the way you should be treated. They ought to treat you better. But they're not right. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. You poor thing, you. He just slowly draws somebody in because they gave him the opportunity. So our primary victory is us. 2 Corinthians 10:5, that's where we bring every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. That's what we're doing. So you have a bad thought, and you go, that's not a good thought. I don't need to hang on to that. And you turn it away. And people go, well, I can't control what I think. Yes, you can. That's not that hard. The mind can really only inhabit one thought at a time. There's a little bit of debate about this because people, ladies especially, can multitask. And so there's a temptation to think that women can do 4 or 5 things at one time. Actually, when the researchers look at it, no, they don't do 4 or 5 things at one time. They just do them in sequence a lot faster than a man can. And thus we think they're doing them all at once. But they claim the brain can hold one thought at a time. Now we're just fussing about how fast you can switch from one to the other. And I'll guarantee you men are a little slower at that than women. But you got one. Now, if all you can have is one thought at a time, and you've had a thought that ran through your head, and you said, oh, that's not a good thought. I don't need to be keeping that in my head. Then occupy your mind with another thought. I don't care what the other thought is. You're just going to have a thought that intrigues your mind enough. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Who were all those king's horses? And didn't they have some super glue? Couldn't somebody glue that back? Now we're going down a crazy avenue, I get it, but what happened to that bitter thought you didn't want? Oh, wait a minute, I got distracted, didn't I? I'm supposed to be over here and be bitter and resentful. Sing Amazing Grace to the tune of Gilligan's Island. I'm not going to do it for you. Catch me after and I'll do it for you. Really will. Do something with your head. Open your Bible and read the 23rd Psalms. Go read a recipe. I don't care what you do. But you can only do one thought at a time. So when one's in here and you don't want it to stay in here, occupy your mind with something else. Do you got a hobby? Do you like to paint? Do you like to sew? Do you like to needlepoint? Do you like to do yard work? Whatever it is, get something that consumes your attention. And you'll bring that thought into captivity. Paul knew where to focus. He said, this was my body. I bring it into subjection, lest when I preach to others, I myself should be disqualified. You're the primary thing. Devil's out there. I can't get rid of him. If you could get rid of him, you'd have done it a long time ago. But you ain't done it either. You hadn't done it, I hadn't done it, we hadn't done it. What's my primary strategy then? Me. Focus on me. Get me right. And if I resist the devil, what did God say? James 4, 7 and 8. Satan will flee from me. That's what I want. I want him fleeing. So the battle is daily. It's not just occasional. Satan is looking for the small cracks, the little unchecked attitudes. Marriage would be a great place to give you an example of that. I wonder how many marriages have ended because Satan got a little foothold of little resentment. She don't treat me the way she ought to treat me. She don't respect me. I'm the head of this house. That one's going to go downhill real fast, isn't it? Or how about with the kids? You got some ornery kids, you sometimes you kind of like to jerk their hair out. Where I grew up, they always threatened to give me back to the Indians. I don't know where that came from, but that was the line they used, right? I'm like, oh, I guess so. But parents get frustrated with kids at times. Now, I'm not saying parents are wrong because kids can be frustrating. But if I let that stay too long, now Satan's got it. They ought to be grateful. Well, you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, put that roof over their head. You had to buy your own car. They didn't have to buy their own car. They didn't pay any insurance. So on and so forth, right? They got opportunities they just don't appreciate. And they do. And now if I let it turn into just a honest observation, into bitterness, Satan got me. He's looking for that small crack, whatever it is. He's looking for it. And it can be incredibly, incredibly small, depending on the situation and the relationship. And some of the stories I've heard just blow my mind how small it can be. But it's that thing that symbolizes something deeper within is what it boils down to. That'd be a whole other lesson. Let's go to Proverbs 4:23. This is part of our strategy. Should have been able to quote that one, actually. Chances are I would have misquoted it. You know this verse. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. That's your daily thing. It's not just occasional. You're watching your heart all the time. You be careful about the music you listen to. You be careful about the things you watch on TV, what you look as you're scrolling through your internet, however you do it. You be careful what you let in your mind. And I'm not going to prescribe what you can and can't let into your mind, because millions and millions and millions of people watch Gunsmoke growing up. They never wanted to go out and shoot anybody. But you get that one weirdo who watches Gunsmoke, thinks he's a cowboy, and then wants to go shoot people. I don't know. You got to figure out what's affecting you and leave other people alone if it's not affecting them. You just got to know how to guard your heart. What is your weakness? Where will Satan get you? And watch for that one. Watch it really close. Psalms 119, 105, that's also daily. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, a light unto my path. That's what we want daily. And again, that strategy, he's going to do that little small, harmless move because it's a chess game. And in a chess game, a move can be 100% legal. and still be the wrong move. Let that one soak in a minute. Paul said twice, all things are lawful, but not all things are profitable. Just because my next move is not a sin does not mean it is a wise move. Those of you who play chess, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the same idea Satan's using. So every day, it's part of the warfare. Every bit of it. It's there. Our thing is to get through every day without giving the devil the advantage. And when our godliness becomes habitual, Satan really struggles. And that's exactly what I want for me and for you. I want Satan to look at you and go, whew, I think I'll go find another target. I don't have the energy for that right now. You know, the young people have this thing right now. I'm going to get in trouble with this one. I just don't have the mental capacity for it right now. I can't even deal with that. You know how they did that when we were kids? They'd be pulling that belt off. I got your mental capacity. But, you know, we found it all of a sudden. I want Satan to look at us and go, I just can't. I can't him right now. There's an easier target somewhere else. That's what I want. Quiet strength. That's what's going to win. The warfare is real. It's crazy real. Satan is trying to get into your head and get you to cooperate to destroy your own life. I'd like to do another lesson on that. He's real, but he's not equal to God. Our victory begins with submitting to God. That's it. That's where it's at. The tools are there. They're not that complex, not that hard to deal with. And my primary battle is right here. Right here. I'd like to think my primary battle is Washington. If we could just fix Washington, I wouldn't have any troubles. Come on. If we wiped Washington off the map right now, you'd still have all your troubles. That's the way life works, isn't it? That's not an exciting thought. Every act of obedience is going to strengthen your faith. It's going to make you stronger. Little bit by little bit by little bit. That's all we want. And if you'll just daily walk with God, you're going to live in victory. There's no better place than to live in victory. So walk in obedience, stand in truth, and submit to God. And I'll just close with, are you? Are you standing with God? If so, you're right where you ought to be. If not, let us help by together to stand and sing.